April the 13th, 2022, near Burley Municipal Airport. The identifier is KBYI, Kilo Bravo, Yankee, India, Cassia County, Idaho. About 8:30 daytime, the Cessna 208 Grand Caravan, November 928, Juliet Papa, was substantially damaged and was involved near accident near Hayburn, Idaho, and the pilot was fatally injured. The airplane was operating per Part 135 as a cargo flight, so the pilot was the sole occupant of the aircraft, and it had a flight from Salt Lake City International Airport to Burley Municipal Airport, Burley, Idaho, a short flight. According to witness located about a quarter mile ago, he first heard, then observed the airplane descend out of the clouds, then immediately went into the steam cloud, which was produced from a set of 6 smokestacks located nearby. Matter of fact, they're located right on the approach, right in the dead center of the approach. And the weather was similar to what we have right now. It was light snow, and the approach was used, and this was the RNAV runway 20 approach with mult transition, and it looked like that. All right. So the airplane struck one of the 6 smokestacks and came to rest on the same roof of the factory. Both wings, the prop, assembly, belly pod, and nose wheel separated the fuselage. All other major components remained on the rooftop. So this was the picture how after the fact of the crash was right on the roof. The weather at that time was the following. So meter at that moment looked like this. So light winds 108 at 1 miles, light snow, mist, and broken 023 overcast 028 -3 -529 -6. So the pilot was Chelsea Brittany Infinger. I'm not sorry, I don't know how to say it right. The name Infinger or Infinger. I'm not sorry. Returned. She died upon impact, and I want to talk about this accident because there are strange things that happened there, and it easily could have been prevented. And my belief is that a lot of what's contributed to the accident was the negligence from FAA, from local government, and the whoever installed these stacks. Okay, so I'm gonna go. You can probably find few videos already about this, and it's been a few years, but one of the videos I have watched is on, a lot of people know the same channels as A Probable Cause with Dan Grider, and a few other channels such as yeah, so one interesting fact, one of the pilots left his comment below one of these videos, and it states the following: Dan, I have flown this approach a handful of times over the past 15 years. Last time I flew it was 5 months ago in a PC-12 47 Echo with a Honeywell Apex suit. I broke out 200 above minimums, and I actually had to sidestep the approach. I was absolutely shocked when I saw the stack that had not been there before. I called my company and informed them I would never fly that approach to minimums under any circumstances. That airport is already a big challenge without having to fly that gauntlet. It was bad before that stack was constructed, but now it's just suicidal. I very much regret not talking to the FAA. I should have. The approach is incredibly dangerous, and I wouldn't make terps even if they took that stacks down. It's a shocking thing to see on short final. My condolences to her family. In my opinion, bureaucracy killed her. I'd be suing City Hall, the FAA, in a potato factory. So what you see right now here is that potato factory, and matter of fact, these stacks look exactly as they are over there. I'm gonna show you a few other pictures. So many of you probably already know Dan Grider, and I don't understand why a lot of people are hating on him, because I think he's doing the right thing and he's doing a lot of help for community. So the stacks, so I'm gonna take a few screenshots out of his video so you can see, because it's still already there. So that's how it looks like, matter of fact, and these are located right on the dead center of that runway. Now, so I don't want to run in front of myself, so let's start from the beginning. So you can see here the runway is small, it's narrow, it's located right at the riverbed here, and the runway is short. It has displaced threshold over here. Now there's already a light, so the airport, if we would say the airport is about level of the river, the terrain on the other bank of river goes up and more up, so the elevation here surveyed not correctly when they surveyed the stacks. So when they surveyed the elevation to do the to mark it on the chart, they did it wrong. Okay, and you can even see if you move your imaginary imaginary plane right here. You can see and look at Poppy, and it's just I'm sorry, Vasi. So these lights, the Vasi, they are still there on this airport, but they have just been disconnected. Somebody cut the wire, because you can see if you follow the Vasi inside of this airport, you will hit those stacks, because look, they're right there, red over white, and what do you see here? Tremendously close. So this is by any means not supposed to be there, but we'll talk about this a little bit later. So what they did originally 2 years ago, or wait, well, is it 22? I believe so. Yeah, 22. So a few years ago, what they did is they just cut those lights out. And if you look, let's look at the terrain a little bit more around there. So if we look at Google Maps, just a second, I'm all in the stream while doing it, so I'll be showing that all these things are right there. Okay, so that's Burley right there. This is the river, and this is the potato factory. That's runway 20. So if you look at the airport, the stacks are still there, they're smoking, and you know it's at winter time, they produce a lot of smoke, so that's even more dangerous, because that smoke actually it's right on the approach, and it makes them invisible barely. All right, so when you look down, you can see there is a hill downwards, because there's a bridge out here. So it is about 40 feet down from this location, and there you can see the runway. So by looking at the bridge, and it's pretty much the same elevation, so I believe it's about 30 feet if you ask me, because there's a ravine here, and the factory itself is kind of like on the hill over there, so it's even more now, of course, they haven't built this airport. I mean, this potato processing plant is not sure if we can do this. Yeah, so they needed to build those stacks, right? And when they built something like that near the airport, it's all supposed to be marked. So look, even today, after all this happened, and even today, let's look at the approach. You guys will be amazed, because we're gonna fly this approach and I'm gonna show you why it is dangerous still. So this is our nav, GPS runway 20 Burley, and that's the approach she has flown. She got the, I believe, the melt transition, and then she did all this approach. Now the approach only offers LNAV to the MDA. So you descend from IREM at 7,000 down to Hiklo at 6,000, and to Jamit there's another identify 1.6 nautical miles is Jamit 4,800. Now you can note that it is 3.75 degree slope, right? So you no longer have a VASI here because they have disconnected it. They were disconnected prior to the accident, because if they would be connected, we would have every pilot would just crash into those with such weather conditions. So they disconnected those, but they didn't do anything with these towers, and these towers are higher than they show over here. So out here you can barely see that feature. Now there's a arrow 4291, right? 4291, and it's kind of covered by the approach, so you can barely see it. There's nothing that it is note here. In my opinion, it should have been noted by here that there are smokestacks that are basically right on that path. So I don't have a Grand Caravan here, but I have TBM-8 with a similar equipment that Caravan had. So we're gonna do and it's really good modeled, so I'm gonna use that TBM, which has the same engine and it's the same size, single engine turboprop aircraft, and we're gonna fly that approach, and I'm gonna show you that it's really dangerous if you fly as published. Now Dan Greider went a little bit farther. He took it all the way. So he surveyed the area, he measured that stack, and he came up with, let's see, let me show you how it looks like. He came up with a map that will show you how dangerous this is, and that, so he measured all the heights, and basically this is supposed to be a constant descent up to the MDA. So it's 3 degrees 0.75, and you take it from IREM, that's what's supposed to be. But if you calculate mathematically, this is not the same angle. The angle changes. So let's fly this approach and we'll see what's gonna be showing. I'm not sure if the sim has a correct elevation of this. Out here is showing, so the elevation for the runway is, let's do the touchdown zone elevation here. And the elevation is touchdown zone is 4,152, and the top of this is 4,291, so 4,290. Okay, but I think it's surveyed wrong, because they, all right, so the thing was that the factory, the potato factory, the FAA and the local, not local, but an environmental protection agency and other agencies, they had to work all in all together about how high these could be. In my opinion, these smokestacks could not be there at all. I mean, of course you cannot move the plant, and obviously if they're there, you cannot move the stacks. So in my opinion, this approach should be cancelled. It should be or changed. Now let's fly it and first, and we'll see what happens. So we'll do a RNF20 with the malt transition, the same as she flew. What had happened is that she actually she executed that approach once, and she had to go around, and then on the second attempt, that's when she hit those smokestacks. Okay. All right. We'll get to the bottom of this somehow. I understand that these smokestacks that are here, I don't know what data they use to install them in Microsoft Flight Sim. It's a special program for VFR, so by default they're not present there. You need to download the VFR, it's called VFR, We Love VFR Region 2. So if you go to We Love VFR Region 2, you'll find this add-on that adds smokestacks, masts, chimneys, etc. Okay, everything else is default, so you can check with that. Okay, I'll set it for takeoff. Takeoff. On Alt. There's the separator. So the aircraft she had flown, it was really similar. It's just Caravan, you know, whoever flies, you guys know about it. And it has similar long nose, because they have the same kind of engines. PT6. Let's check all of the heights here, altitudes here. 4,100, that's correct. We can also pull up the chart here as well. So we'll climb to 8,200. I'm gonna switch off the next thread for now. All right, let's fly. Let's climb 8,200. I'm gonna steal that cart, whoever's pushing it every day, and I'm gonna burn it. That sound you hear, that somebody's pushing the cart in the complex every time. The power is set. Speed of life. 70, 80, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. Yeah, damp. Flaps up. Getting select. Nice. Get the power out and get the prop. And we'll switch off the inertial separator for now. Even though, no, let's leave it on since it's snowing until we get out the clouds. I'm gonna arm that altitude here. So yeah, the pilot who died, this lady, all of her flight instructor, she was flight instructor herself. She was a great pilot. All the pilots that knew her noted that she was really dedicated, and she was every time she would do an approach, she would be really thorough. Like, she would pay attention to small details. So she was a very careful pilot. Switch off inertial. Alright, so we're gonna proceed direct malt. For that, I'm gonna activate the approach and hit nav. The rest, I don't know how she flew the approach, probably using the same technique. If because the modern avionics, they have this so-called fake glide slope for even for this type of approach. So even though it's an LNAV approach with an MDA, it will still have this fake glide slope. And although you cannot rely on it while using this approach like LNAV, most pilots look at it and they see it as a help. I'm gonna do a first one. I'm gonna do with that fake, you know, fake glide slope, and the second time I'm gonna calculate actual vertical speed as per chart. So the chart says 3.75. I'm gonna calculate it as it's supposed to be, and I'm gonna do it with the vertical speed. For the given approach speed, which will be around 90 knots, which is almost the same as the Grand Caravan. So let's check out here. See? Stop roll. So 7,000 to Irene, and then 6,000 to Hiklo. Let's descend to 7,000 already. Oh wait, no, we can't. Hold on. We still gotta be at 8. Since it's 8,200 on a moto. so I'm not gonna hurry too much. I'm gonna slow down for the, so we have better time, more time to react. So I'm gonna get to 40% torque. So 8,200 and above, and then there's descent to 6,000 above the Hiklo. So that day when she flown, it was a bit of a trace of icing. When she first initially, so when there's icing like that, you postpone on the flaps, so you don't accumulate a lot of icing on the flaps. So that's what she did. So now you see it's recalculating another vertical. We'll go to down to 7,000. I'm gonna put the inertial separator on. Alright, the next one will be 6,000. So if we go by actual altitudes like we're supposed to, out here, you can see we are at Irene, and Irene is 7,000. We go down to Hiklo, which is 6,000. Now the reason we don't see glide slope yet, because it's still too far. So we'll stick at 6,000 for now, and then we'll descend to. There's many ways you can do it. You can do constant descent, or you can do step descent. Anyways, you can do it. And we're looking for our minimums would be LNF minimums, which is 4,560. So if I would be the pilot who never flown in this airfield and never ever, and I would look at this, I would be like, okay, I wouldn't have no idea there's smokestacks in there, because it's basically, it's really hard to notice. It's after the that jam it fix. Alright, so that's that electronic glide slopes coming in. And I want to mention again, you can't use it as per ruling. So you can use it as a help, but you can't rely on it for this type of approach. But again, we're gonna do a second one where I'm gonna calculate the 3.75. It's already calculated here, you can see. So if you're doing 90, it's 600 feet per minute descent to get to that. That's approximately as what happens here. Radio altitude. Alright, so we're gonna slow down a bit. I'm gonna give a notch of flap, and I'm gonna lower the gear. The Caravan does not have retractable gears, so her speed would be possibly 90 knots for the approach. That's how Caravans. So that's what I'm gonna, exactly what I'm gonna do. And that's what we have, 600 feet per minute, about. So we had Hiklo, passing Hiklo at 6,000 feet. The next is Jammet, 4,800. Now remember, are you serious? Just going back and forth. Stupid fucking bimbo goes back and forth with that. Lazy ass cannot grab her her laundry. She gets a cart and she just drives it back and forth. So that's what that's what it would look like on her, because she was doing 90 and she did not do a lot of flaps in order not to get iced. So when you do that, your nose is kind of higher, as well as it's the visibility is almost like that at that day, as well as smoke from these stacks. So that's pretty much that. And we have 1,000, almost 1,000 to go, 700 to go. So you can see the airport. So I already see those stacks, but remember, they would be covered in smoke. So there's smoke coming up from them, so they would be blocked by the smoke. All right, it's 100 for the mins. So you see now the Vasi is not present there any longer, so there is no Vasi. She couldn't see no Vasi. So this is the minimums. So at that moment I have the only thing I need to have is the visual with the runway. So if I'm having the visual with the runway, it's a visual maneuver now from the minimums. So you see, if I don't have this smoke, you see, look at that. Jesus Christ, I cannot. I need a. Okay, one sec. I want you to see how close that was. But we need. Jesus fucking Christ. Let me have. Let me have a record so at least I could show it to you how it was. The Microsoft Flight Sim is kind of bad in this. You cannot like analyze your flight. You don't have any way of analyzing your flight, so you gotta either catch it on the roll or something. Okay. So now we won't do the full thing again. I'm just gonna start from Hecklow at 6,000, okay? And I'm gonna record it with the separate program so we can slow it down and see how close it came. And this is why I'm saying that it's still dangerous. This approach should not supposed to be there. So I'm gonna use the Sky Dolly to record it. Alright, so we are at 6,000. I'm gonna go to Hecklow and just take it from there. Again, just so you guys can see, the minimums is MDA is 4560. At that minimums, we have to rely on a visual. Now, before it was VASI, so VASI could have guarantee you the clearance for any obstacles for that runway, but they removed VASI because if you would have used the VASI for it, you would most definitely crash into these. So now you kind of have to rely just on the runway environment by itself. So I would go to Hecklow, activate nav. Alright, and I'm gonna slow down. So I'll get an approach speed. So we already have a lot of icing. I'm gonna activate the approach. That's probably how she have flown, because I would have flown the same way. I would use that fake glide slope until, I mean, following all the altitudes, of course, but but the rest of the portion, the I mean, even even show it right here possibly, so it would be even better. Can we have just the blade? Why we have all this stuff? Jesus Christ. Just the blade, please. Okay, there you go. So we arm the approach. Alright, so we out here by Hiklo. We come down. So it's 3.75. We can fly it many ways. You can fly it as a step down, or you can fly it constant descent. And then we would drive her onto the MDA, which is 4560. So in the same way, she didn't want to get a lot of icing, so she probably postponed on the landing flaps. And she did some intermediate flaps, or maybe no flaps at all. And you can do that, it's totally normal. So as you descend, here's the fake glide slope has started to calculate its thing. It calculates between these points, and it calculates all the way to the threshold, which should be crossed at about 60, I believe. The threshold crossing height. We'll check that later. It's not important right now. So we're slowing down to the approach speed. And imagine the weather is like that, or even worse. She's flying with a high angle of attack for the speeds and for the flap settings, with a long nose like that. The stacks are producing the smoke which covers them. So we are at 90, that's the way she flown. And we are looking for 4560, that's our minimums. At that moment we should see the runway or the airport environment, alright? Since there is no VASI, the VASI is gone. It's not anymore, it's no longer there. So you see, it will cover. So this is so dangerous because they are so close to the runway. They're for sure will be covered by your nose. So you see, those are minimums. I'm gonna disconnect here, and look, I got the runway, and I'm like, well, okay, don't look at Basti, because I'm be like, fine, I got the runway, so I'm descending. I no longer see the stacks, so I'm good. And watch. That's how she crashed. That's exactly how she crashed. Look at that. I wish we could have see ourselves here. Yeah, but we can't. It's okay. I want you to see. So out here, you can't even see these stacks from here. But imagine they would be covered in smoke that they all the time produce this smoke. You're normally sitting here, and your nose is high like this. You can see the environment of the runway. This is the minimums, and I'm like, okay, let's continue. So the smokestacks always covered. They always covered. Look at that. It's just a killer. It's another killer waiting to happen. Look at that. I'm doing the correct way. I'm descending via 3 degree down, and look at that. Look how close I came. Look how close. It's like 20 feet I came from them. I mean there's no way that they should be there, okay? So that's one or another. It's either they should be removed, or that approach should be removed, or there should be in bold letters a note that states so. But there's nothing. The only thing that they did is that they've included a small little figure here with a 4291, which I believe is not even correct. Let's see. Hold on. Jesus Christ. So I'm gonna pause here a little bit more. A little bit behind. Look at that. Look how dangerously close that is. And I believe they're even higher. So you got one wingspan of the aircraft. Are you serious? So, it's about 20 feet from this. And we are reading at 4,280. Now, Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Look, I said 20 feet, right? 4291. We are 4280. So they are even higher. They're higher than this by 10 feet. So these smokestacks are actually that high. Look at that. So tell me this is not dangerous. Just tell me this is not dangerous. This is super dangerous. And we ride. Now, I'm gonna do another one. This time I will calculate. Now we were using the fake glide slope, right? The electronic glide slope for that. But following all these, right? So we're gonna calculate the constant descent and the vertical speed for that. So basically what's supposed to be here, because these stacks are here, they're located here. I'm gonna draw so you guys can understand where they at. They located right here. And they're at 4,291. Oh gosh. And the minimums is 4,560. So by the chart, if I start 4.5 nautical miles to runway, this is crazy. This is crazy. Because basically the only way you can do this approach is if you fly down to the minimums and then hold at minimums and then just dive to the runway like this. So it by no means, this is not like, Jesus Christ, poor girl. Like I can say, this is real, this is negligence. And I want you to watch Dan's video. He got everything pointed out here. That's your MDA at 4560 and 4800. He did it all with like sines, cosines, and everything. I do it easier sometimes. I mean, this is for I know for other people to understand, but this is real. I mean, what he did is great. So if we take 4,800, this is our that fix, right? Jam it. We're gonna subtract MDA for 560. 2. So 240 is all we get. 240 feet from that fixed to minimums. Let's just get from the 90, right? So it says 600 feet per minute. So 240 times 3 720, right? So we only it's only 0.7 miles towards this, and if we let's say if we go, okay, let's make it even easier. Clear. Okay. $6,000 and it's 375 to threshold, and threshold crossing height is 40, right? Touchdown zone 4152, so 4192. That's that altitude right here. So yeah, let's use the calculator better. So 6,000 minus 4192. That's 108. So that's the altitude to lose. Times 3, 5.4. 5.4. Actually, I don't even need that. We're just gonna do 4.5 miles, nautical miles. We're gonna do as per FAA. We're just gonna out here descent angle 375, and we're gonna come in with with a speed of 90. We're gonna do 597, so we're gonna do 600 feet per minute from Hicklow. Let's start from here so we can get ready. All right. So 6,000, it says 4.5 miles. We'll start that descent. Man. So out here, 4.5 miles, we'll start down with 600 feet per minute. To the trash. So we need to be at 90 knots. There it is. And here it is. So it's all correct. We're going 600 feet per minute right now. Let me just speed up a bit. Just about 90 right here. Now, of course, if I would have dumped the rest of the flaps, my nose would come down big time. And it would give me a better chance of seeing it. But still, my nose is covering it big time. So we are doing 600 as supposed to. I'm gonna record it again. And from 4.8, right? I'm just gonna follow 600 feet per minute as this chart says. So that chart says that we're supposed to be here at 4,800 and follow with 375, so that means 600 feet per minute, and that's how we're going. Jesus, that's dangerous. Okay, that's minimums. So I would have to do like this. I would have to level out here without seeing the runway, and then somehow dive and drive. So that's pretty much that's what it is, and then go over like this. See, that's the only safe way to do it, but the whole thing is not safe at all. considering everything what we saw. Let's do another one. Yeah, that's really sad. And that's only considering the real height of these smokestacks. There's a rumor that they're higher than what they say on the chart. I just don't understand what's the whole big deal for the FAA to fix it. You can create LNAV arrival like this, just like this, and that's it. That would save it, and you would have to just steer to the runway and final, but this is right over the top. They're located right here. And the family of deceased pilot, they're suing the city, the FAA, and the potato plant. So I really hope that they will win the case, because by no means and this is supposed to be legal. That approach is not legal. The clearance for from these smokestacks are not legal, and we did it how many times we did. We're gonna do another one right now yet, and still and that's how 99% of pilots with modern avionics would fly that approach. 99% of them would do exactly that. Nobody would come and start doing sines and cosines and calculating angles, although they're already calculated. You don't need to calculate anything. So it simply says that if you're gonna approach with 90 ground speed, 600 is all you need for the 375, and you start 4.5 nautical miles. Make sure you cross jam it at 4,800, but this is not even correct. The whole this thing, the angle goes like this, then like this, basically. So it's not 375 all the way down there. This is wrong. And by the way, they don't have even proper lighting on these stacks. So they're supposed to be, these stacks are supposed to be with strobe lights, like bright white strobe lights, because they're located right under, right on the center, dead center of the runway. But so much, like this clearance is not even by all the standards, like the FAA standards. This clearance is not correct. But the truth is that FAA does not care. They're too preoccupied with making videos of dancing and singing and taxing people and going after people who show their real face. The city is not gonna go against the potato factory because all money is there. So this poor soul, this poor girl had just died because of all these bureaucrats. Alright, so if I would see something like this, I would be like, okay, well, I get icing, so I'm gonna postpone on the flaps. The Caravan already has a gear down, so that does not, it's not a retractable gear like I said, so I would do clean wing for as long as I can. So I'd hold 100 knots on the clean wing. Around so. And I think everybody else would do the same thing. $6,000. Hello. And whoever else was doing the video on her, Trevor Smith, I believe. This guy in the video, he portrayed it as it's her fault, and it's clearly not her fault. Could have been anybody. So it's a big discussion on forums, etc., where pilots and other people discuss it, and they're basically split with two sides. One side says, well, she should have stayed on MDA, and she did stay to MDA, and then you are legally obliged to maintain visual contact with the environment and avoid the obstacles, and that's true. I don't but on the other hand, you don't expect these at that altitude, at that position. So even you know, how I get to the MDA, nobody cares. As long as I make those altitudes, 6.5, 6 and above, 4,800 and above, nobody cares how I get to there, as long as I make those up. So if I got electronic glide slope that's gonna lead me there, and I'm gonna follow these altitudes and make sure that they're respected, then be so. That's that fix, so we're leaving that fix. It's just too small of a margin for a mistake, you know, here. So 4,800. So I'm gonna, okay, let's do this. I'm gonna do 4,800. I'm gonna do step descent. Okay. Engage vertical speed. $700. I'm gonna do even 600, like they said. Okay, 4,800 and above. And then the next one is gonna be the minimums, which is 4560. So as per step, so 4560. So if you go down with the electronic and then you level up at MDA, you basically don't see any runway. You're just not gonna see it, and then you don't know when to start down for it. So this approach, guys, in my opinion, it should be changed, definitely. So this is, as soon as I saw that, I said I want to try it, and the same with all correct procedures and all altitudes, and here I saw it, and that's my opinion. So it's just, at least should be a big bold letters here about that. So in here, in notes, so if you get to jam it 4,800 and hit close 6,000, And if you're just gonna level out in order not to hit those, because if you just continue with the same angle, same vertical speed, the margin is too little. So that's my opinion, guys. Here we go. If we're gonna have a lot of likes and I don't know, at least, I don't know, give me 20 likes and some views, I might do the same videos later. The whole point is, if it's gonna help someone, that's good, because the whole purpose of this is to learn and to stay alive. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again.